Nicholas, you've reported on Darfur, New York hospitals dealing with COVID-19. First question, how about a nice story for a change?
Yeah, the first 10-layer cake.
Ooh, or the first 11-layer cake.
Sorry, we had cake this morning.
There actually is something kind of nice about the New York hospitals. I mean, obviously the death and burden are enormous, but the courage of those health workers, you know, afraid, fearful, seeing colleagues sick, and yet going into work every day. And in the context of some really terrible things happening, I found that what the health workers were doing and their courage and strength and resilience kind of uplifting.
Yeah, it's no cake, but still very inspiring. Now, moving on to this China story, Trump has called this the Wuhan virus, said he's upset with China. And I get it. I mean, China did make Trump post about the Oscars for the entire month of February.
The Chinese government mishandled the virus in the first 23 days of January, and they detained people who they should have been listening to. But the way President Trump treats it, it becomes a distraction from the things he should be doing, like providing testing. And there's also a sense in which this feeds into bigotry toward Asian Americans in this country.
Joe Biden answered Trump's xenophobia with his own ad, and that answer is sure, let's do that. Take a look.
But Trump rolled over for the Chinese. He took their word for it. Trump never got a CDC team on the ground in China. And the travel ban he brags about? Trump let in 40,000 travelers from China into America.
Very xenophobic, but more importantly, a great show of bipartisanship.
I missed xenophobic Biden. What a triumphant return to form.
Is this the boost Biden needs to lock up the xenophobic vote?
Well, so I do think that it's fair for Joe Biden to note that for President Trump to accuse somebody else of being an apologist for China is absurd, when it was President Trump himself who in January and February was raving about President Xi Jinping. But, you know, that said, there is a tone in elements of that ad that does bother me a little bit. There are times when he refers to Chinese as opposed to China that I think are a little loose. And, you know, I hope he'll be more careful in distinguishing between Chinese people and the Chinese government.
And that is an inside the hill pulled punch.
We're seeing a number of protests against quarantine orders. I've got to say, there is nothing more American than exercising your right to choose whether you want to be dead or not.
That brings us to a recurring segment. Is it time for another civil war? Let's face it, we have nothing in common with these people.
It's worth pointing out there's nothing new on TV right now. This would be so entertaining.
Why isn't CNN replaying the classic wars, you know, on CNN Classic or something?
Nicholas, what's your favorite war?
Well, you know, I hate to disappoint you, but I do think that there is actually a possibility that what lies ahead is not a new civil war, but actually a certain amount of agreement.
Boring. Come on. We want a war.
Cake and war.
Cake and war. Cake and war. Cake